the legacy, designing systems that work without you. My name is Keith, and it's an absolute honor to officially welcome our esteemed guest to this conversation, His Excellency Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. We are very honored. We are very Now, there's going to be a lot of questions, I'm sure, that this conversation will allow for you. Please make notes, and at the end, we'll make sure that we have some time allotted for you to ask and find out any of the queries that you may have that are raised from this conversation. But first of all, I want to delve a bit more into the person behind this iconic persona that we all know and love and respect. Remarkable figure, seated at the helm of shaping strategic direction in Lagos State for almost a decade now. Could you define personally what does leadership mean to you?
Thank you very much. I think Tracy also deserves a round of applause. First, we need to thank all of you. I mean, this is the first time that I'm walking into this place and completely transformative. So I think it's important that I give the organizers, Aisha, and my entire team all the opportunities. I look at the world aspect I think it's incredible. I never envisioned that this place would also be this transformative. So I want to thank you, I want to thank all of the sponsors that you acknowledged earlier. I want to thank my boss, my leader, the former governor here, the pastoral. I want to thank our friends from Uganda. I want to thank all of my royal fathers, friends, and brothers. But more importantly, you, the young people, the leaders of tomorrow, the ones that all of these initiatives and ideas are meant to serve. I want to thank all of you for being out time to be here. I think the first question that Tracy is asking, it's a question that everybody, depends on what side of the divide you see, you will answer it differently. What really means was transformative leader, and what really leadership means. It's actually a call to service. It's a call to service at a higher level. It's usually first a position of grace and authority, a position of honor, right? And so when you know and you appreciate that indeed you being called a leader is a declaration of people accepting and agreeing for you to want to lead them. So you really don't have anything other than the simple head and feelings that you have, but for them donating all of that power to you, first you must humble yourself, accept the fact that indeed it's a position of honor and reverence, that position. Once you're able to do that, then indeed, in yourself leading, and pushing up all of those leadership. There might be tongues and tongues, there might be problems here and there, but they will not leave you alone. They will stay with you, they will believe in what you stand for, because indeed they've seen the sincerity of purpose, and the genuineness that you brought, to bear. Once you're able to solve all of those early calls, then it becomes a lot easier for you to intervene, to instruct, to direct, and to initiate, ideas and opinions. But more importantly, leadership is all about ensuring that it's not about you, it's about a generation even that is coming behind you. It's not about your immediate gain, it's about the life of the people that do not even have the opportunity of being in the room, and they are taking those decisions on their behalf. And they are taking these decisions that will change their life positively and will impact their life positively. It's about ensuring that it is the greatest good for the greatest number. It's not about what you personally want to benefit from. It's about what the entire generality of the people that have donated that power to you will benefit from. So it's ensuring that indeed the future becomes a bit more predictable for them. That you are, in a position that they will not even doubt your capacity or your ability to ensure that what you're doing is for the greatest number, and for what will benefit the society. Part of the things that you see that usually also, affect, leadership, and those things around culture. How do people also react, to culture? How has culture helped to be able to design what brand or what kind of leadership, you want? There are some known and there are some ways that are known in some different parts of the world that there are some things that you just don't get to do. So your culture, pretty much forms, what are the values and what are the things that, has helped you evolve as a people. And once you understand that where culture sits, in your leadership, channel, you will also need to communicate with your people very, very well. And that takes me to the next question. You cannot be a good leader if you're not a good communicator. If you don't have a means or a channel at which people can actually understand it. And it has to be two-way. Both the receiver and the giver. You must also be an audience receiver and also be able to communicate and give something back to them. So it's only when those two channels are working well that you can get the right feedback, you can reassess yourself, and you can in turn, come up again with new levels, of leadership skills or leadership, instructions that you want to pass on. And once you are communicating efficiently and effectively, and you're getting the needed feedback, then you will know that indeed there are benefits that are coming out of it, there are good stories that are coming out of it, and that will put you in a better place to ensure that you continue to do that which you're doing very, very well. But like I said, everybody will understand and look at these things very differently. I would say that I've been a bit lucky, in Lagos. I've been blessed with previous leaders that have started that mantle, of aggressive leadership, right from our current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to the likes of my big brother that is here about to be right, Fashola, Mr. Ambode, and to myself. So we are actually very lucky to be able to take, forward what they are built on very quickly and be able to see, challenge, to start to a little bit.
I actually love that you mentioned about former leaders that have impacted your journey, because given what illustrious career, I'd love for you to take us down memory lane and maybe highlight one or two defining moments that when you weren't even aware of the heights that you were rising in your leadership journey. What happened with maybe a key mentor or leadership figure that really influenced your journey and has been almost a spinal cord to the body that you built in leadership today?
Well, they say that you cannot eat an omelet if you don't break the egg. So if you don't also take the egg steps, you probably never be able to get. And so what are the egg steps? Get good background education, understand that you have a purpose at every level of career that you find yourself. It doesn't matter what it is, but make sure that in all that you find yourself doing, make sure that you're doing it very well. These are just early calls that everybody needs to have. Whatever position, whatever office, whatever assignment you find doing, do it very well. Because people are watching, people are looking, and people are the ones going to recommend you. So that's just the basic general ground rules that everybody. So you're not saying that I'm here and I'm not happy, and if you're not happy, you shouldn't be there. Once you're there, put in your very best. Because somebody is also going to recommend you go for a bigger role later down. So the end thing there is do your very best at whatever level you find yourself. So I continue to do that. So I've moved industry from oil and gas, to banking, to finance, and by some year, sitting in a small corner office in the banking industry, I found myself in public service. But how it works. We're always very quick ones to condemn and to criticize public officers and public service. So you never believe that you're going to be on that side. So when the opportunity came up, it was like a whole lot of doubts, not sure on how these things are going to turn. But the moment I took the decision and plunged in, I realized there were an incredible set of people that were there that I really need to do two things: relearn, unlearn, and learn, relearn, and unlearn. I had to drop whatever my ears behind, learn new things on how to navigate in public service, and relearn based on my previous knowledge. So I was able to do that very quickly, and I was able to settle it. Once you're able to settle, you begin to make impact. Impact, you could even make the smallest amount, but you begin to make impact. You begin to talk intelligently and act, understanding how culture also works. Because the public service is also a place where it's hierarchical. age comes around, what are people that have been around for longer years, how to give mutual respect, and that way you will meander the pitfalls very, very quickly. So that was how my trajectory started, and I've had the opportunity of listening and watching leaders. Like I said, my first public office was when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the governor of the state. And I sit down quietly in my corner, listening, watching the likes of BRF and several others that are world leaders and their country leaders today. And I was able to pick it up very quickly. One of the benefits that I had was that Asiwaju exposed me to a lot of international trips and international engagement. I was crisscrossing from my portfolio, to everything, from transportation to environment to public safety to education. I was probably just, I never know. I was probably doing it by the transportation. I put it on my very best, challenge the people that are there. Revenue generation. I go in and was able to also, improve the numbers and challenge people that are there. Environment, change the status quo, and that was how the learning, started. And that government went on and completed, and I got another opportunity. Now with Mr. Obasanjo, now in a more specific role. In a role that people usually think that role is not a role that is rewarding financially, if I dare say so, but it's a role that would bring in your very best in terms of intellectual capacity and how you can use that role to develop the likes of what we're seeing in the Takode Leadership Academy today. And I took on that role, and I imagine that I did very well. But guess what? When we thought it was time to renew that same role, I never got renewed. And so that in itself, we talk of how things happen. I never got back to go into that government, and I thought, appraising myself, I'll probably be number 1, number 2, or number 3 in class of 40. But guess what? Sometimes in public office, if you think that you're number 1, you might not be the valedictorian. There are other things that are being considered, that. But that gave me an opportunity to stop, drop everything, reappraise myself, retool myself, and I was able to launch myself subsequently into another level, and subsequently got into this position of the government. So sometimes you will think that a stoppage or a change of what you're expecting having not come out in itself is the end of the road. No, it's actually the beginning of another road for you. If you can quickly see, and if you can go back and reappraise yourself, realign yourself, and refine and learn new things, and challenge yourself that I'm not going to give up. Because it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you quickly get up each time you fall. And guess what? The world is watching and the world is waiting. And so I was able to quickly put all of that together, learn from my previous experience, put all of those learnings together, find out new areas of skills that is required, and be able to prepare those things. So you don't lose what you've learned, you relearn, unlearn, and you push yourself forward. And here we are today. Thank you.
Delay is not denial. And when we look at the highlights of your leadership, the headlines, it's very easy to actually forget this is a human being behind all of this greatness that we are celebrating and seeing. For you in the audience, like myself, that are slowly entering into positions of leadership or even aspiring to positions of leadership, what would you say when you look at a day in the normal life of yourself? What would be some of the principles that you feel you exhibited that made exceptional leaders say there is something different in this individual that we will be able to utilize to go to the next level? And how are you able to weave that into your oil and gas sector, your banking? How are you able to weave those principles that really made you stand out from the crowd?
Well, thank you. Also, like I said earlier, no knowledge should be lost. Whatever it is you're doing currently is a learning for something in the future. So never waste an opportunity, especially in a period of crisis. Never waste an opportunity. You never understand sometimes how some of these things are going to turn out But like I keep saying, putting your very best in whatever position you find yourself, in whatever office, because it might be a tool, it might be a need that you will use further down the line. Part of the things that I would advise and I would say to people, or part of the things that I do, is also surround yourself with people that you believe appear that they're smarter than you, so that you can pick stuff around them. Appear, is a relative word, but make sure that you are always around people that you can also pick. You should never just given and given. You should be able to also receive knowledge, receive skills, receive understanding, receive access, and be able to utilize those things very well. So those are some of the things. So you should not see yourself as an individual that is standing out and that you believe that you are the best at what time. That in itself is not a good, leadership tool. So you must always, surround people that you can pick something from, no matter the age bracket, and learn something from, understand something from, and be able to, keep, that, within you. I think part of the things that we've seen, also around us here is how also reward system also happens. People usually also feel that some of these things are they're the right, to reward or to how to praise situation. I think reward must be reciprocal. I think the reward system must be such that you brought in something to the table. You actually pass on a skill, a knowledge, an innovation that must warrant you to get compensated or rewarded. So I also use that as a tool, and I identify people very quickly to be able to use the measurement of what are the things that people can do, how do I also reward you, how also do I now retain you, knowing fully well that you have what it takes to be around. What are the things that I need to do to retain you? There's always something around the political space which you don't see in a lot of private schools, which is loyalty. For public service, loyalty is also critical. Believe in the cause and stay true to that cause. Be committed onto that cause and see that somebody not watching, you really are pushing that agenda. Very, very. In the private sector, you would say is the common shareholder value. That the shareholders must have a sense of purpose. And once you feed into that shareholder value, and you begin to run. So one of the things that I would say to the audience, today is that there is never any one measure fits all. There's never any quick fix to any of these things. Different designs, different models, of ensuring accessing creative leadership are always evolving, as you go along. I'll give you some of the practical examples that we've seen, where some of our decisions, our policies will outlive some of them. Some of that I think created last month, for example. Today, last month is a success story, not only in the country, not only in Lagos, other states around us are quick to copy, and there's nothing wrong with copy. Just copy well, and a lot of other states, and several of them, have had similar, agencies like last month. You have
much deeper and a lot more detail. I actually want to go a bit back to the beginning. There's no doubt your vision, without a shadow of doubt. And we're here to talk about the transformative leadership, and having a vision is very, very key to this. But when we first saw you get into that seat of power, what was the vision? What was the original vision to ensure that you were going to make a difference and make an impact as you have? And how do you feel that journey has actually evolved for you?
Well, thank you. I don't think the work is completely done yet. It's still working.
Very humble.
Absolutely. Because we've got 2 years, and for those 2 years, we want to work quite as hard, quite as smart, quite as better, so that we finish very strong and very well. Right? So it's still working. But starting off, like I said, is to look at what is on the ground, and how do you, retool what is on the ground, knowing fully what are the strengths of what is on the ground, to do very quickly, very, very quickly, with clarity of vision, be able to build on. So one of the things we did was that we wanted to build Africa's mega model city. We wanted to build the a city that works, that's a life, that is safe, and it's a model. It's an African city, but it's a global model. Right? That's really, it's a big visionary, statement where you want to be globally competitive, but not losing your Africanness. The Africanness, the culture of Africa, and what makes you an African city. You don't want to lose it. But you want to do it, with resilience. You want to do it with safety, security, with shared prosperity for your citizens. And for you to do that, there are some particles that must happen. There are some policies, there are some programs, there are some heavy lifting that you needed to do. So it wasn't so difficult for us to come up, listening to our people, asking questions from our citizens, understanding what their needs are, to come up with what we call a team's agenda, which truly really reflects how we want to be, running or leading our state with the support of our citizens. And I'm sure almost everybody here understands what the team's agenda is: traffic management and transportation, health and education, health and environment, education and technology, making it a 21st century economy, entertainment and tourism, security and good governance. And in the second time after our subsequent election, because after the first 4 years, one of the things that we said to ourselves is that let's go back to our vision again. Can we retweak it? Is it working well? Are people in tune with it? Are there things that we need to drop? Are there things we need to add on? And guess what? We now with the Teams Plus agenda. So the plus there is the addition to the teams that we had in the first 4 years. So the plus there becomes a flavor upon the teams. And what does the plus mean? The main things around what we're doing here, youth, women engagement, inclusivity, and you can see that it brought a whole lot of freshness to the first 4 years of our engagement. So the vision is that life is real, it's working, it's something people can feel. We can actually count, how many number of schools that were built. We can feel how many number of new roads and bridges were done. We can actually feel and tell people how many number of new opportunities. So it's not just in the air. We can actually do the numbers of how many, creative minds, creative industry players that were able to enable and empower. How many scholarship in terms of research, and grants that were given. How many innovations that were supported, while not crowding there, how many new businesses, MSMEs that were actually elevated and given grants that is not alone. So these are specific, actions and visions that have helped us as a government to be able to see the impact of our interventions over the last almost 6 years now. To say that, thus far, God has helped us to believe we can still, do a lot more. But in the midst of all of this, and it's important for me, we also have moments of challenge. COVID was a moment of challenge. It was a global, an issue that nobody expected. But guess what? Lagos was able to respond. Lagos was the centerpiece of the country, and the country and the city alive, half of the entire countrywide, issue happening in Lagos, and we responded very carefully. We were to keep our people, they were not killed, the other thing that also happened, which was a lot of learning, was answers, and routes, and all of these. I'm sure in Accra, you heard about it. A lot of my young people here were all experiences of it. So for us, it was a learning and a lesson. The outcome of an important communication, like that, was not lost on me personally, because I was in the eye of it, I was in the center of it. Fine, there were the misunderstandings, there were the things that we did not communicate well, there were things that we did not pass on well, but we did not lose, the outcome of it. We did not lose ability to communicate and engage, so I can continue. And so in all of the journey, right, crises are also moments in which leaders will be challenged. But how you come out of it and how you respond is also important. What you do with the learning and the lesson of the crisis is also important for you to become a better leader, a better transformative leader, as you need.
Thank you. I think that's I mean, myself, I'm Ghanaian, but I've lived in Nigeria now for 10 years.
Huh?
Yes, I live here, and one of the many things that I see in Nigeria is the vibrant and competent youth demographic that we have, and how enterprising they are, and how much they go for opportunities in the dog areas that I've honestly never seen. I've traveled the world too much and youth all over. But when I look at the music and entertainment sector in particular, which for me is my sweet spot as a Netflix creator and as a journalist, I find that it's incredible how they're able to harness their power of natural talent, natural gifts, natural grit, and be able to take that to the global arena and play amongst some of the biggest, greatest players that we admire since growing up, I'm sure. Now, when I look at the work that